All right, let us begin. Hello everyone, and welcome to Season 2 of Chinatown Confessions, episode number 3. And welcome again to my second office here at Maximus Bakery Restaurant here in Chinatown, Vancouver on Kiefer Street. Let's talk, allow me to confess something. Now, one of the things I get asked quite a bit, and I can sense it on my YouTube channel more than on Instagram, is I get asked like if I still like Fujifilm, if I still like the cameras, do I still own Fujifilm? And to that question, I must confess, I love Fujifilm. Right now I have the new XE5. Now it took me 8 months for Fujifilm to send it to me. Part of it was my fault because I did get sick in December, but either way, even in December, it would have been like 6 or 7 months after the announcement. But in general, people have seen less and less Fujifilm content on my YouTube channel. So people are asking like, Taka, do you even like Fujifilm? And so to begin, yes, so here on my notes I have here, I thought I would kind of stick to some notes. I put, yes, I love Fujifilm, and I do love Fujifilm. One thing is, as a company, they are the last surviving manufacturer that can make from the very beginning to the very end, meaning they make cameras, but they also make film, either Instax film or photographic film, which they've been slowing down, but I have a feeling that as film interest grows, Fujifilm will be like, hey, maybe we should start back up some production of some of our films. And so, but they still have film, right? So they have film, they have digital cameras, they make paper chemistry, they make wet labs. So the labs that we were used to seeing when we were growing up, you go to a department store or grocery store, they have a little 1 hour lab. Fujifilm still makes those. They make scanners, they make medical equipment, but again, within the photo ecosystem, everything from the moment you take a photo, either digital or film, to the chemicals that are needed to process that film, and then either digital or film, once it gets scanned, put into a machine, you have a wet lab that prints it on Fujifilm paper and chemistry. Fujifilm can do everything. Now those companies don't exist anymore. There's no company that makes cameras, both analog and digital, as well as making the film, as well as making the cameras, as well as making the labs, as well as making the paper and chemistry. Back in the days, Agfa could do that. Kodak to a certain extent could do that. Their wet labs were made by Noritsu, but besides that, they made everything from beginning to end. They would even make their own lenses, which again, Fujifilm does as well. They're the last manufacturer left that could still do everything in-house if they chose to. And so for that reason, I love Fujifilm. I love their styling. You guys know that I like the old school vintage vibe. I think they've kind of perfected the look of cameras already in the 1950s and 60s and 70s, much like I feel that the look of watches have pretty much, like we can iterate on what already exists, and there are new designs. You think of like the G-Shock and stuff like that, but in general, I prefer the look of kind of vintage watches, the vintage pens, vintage cars, even kind of like Americana heritage where this is Ironheart, Japan, but you know, Japanese love American vintage styling, the denim, the flannel tops and stuff like that. And so even with camera design, I really like how Fujifilm and more Japanese manufacturers are doing it, that they're concerned about as much about design. So it's not just about how a camera looks. Design, part of it is looks, but also design is part of ergonomics, and we think of brands like Apple with Johnny Ive that really studied design, and we're kind of students of Dieter Rams, or at least a school of Dieter Rams, right? So look up who Dieter Rams is, but even guys in the sneaker design world, in the smartphone design world, Dieter Rams was kind of like the king of design. And so I think design language is really important, and Fujifilm is really leveraging that. So that I love about Fujifilm. And you know, I'm made in Japan, and Fujifilm was a Japanese brand, so of course I would have affection towards Japanese camera manufacturers. Although right now, really, there's only 3 major kind of pockets, right? Which is Japanese camera manufacturers, traditional camera manufacturers, and then you have the rise of the Chinese camera manufacturers via Insta360, DJI, brands like that are kind of pushing the boundaries of what a camera is. And then you have Leica with a little bit of Hasselblad, which is, they're more about design and engineering now. Oh, thank you. And less about manufacturing their own cameras. And so you have like Hasselblad, Leica on the Euro side, you have the Japanese camera manufacturers, and then you have the Chinese manufacturers, right? And so Fujifilm is right in there in the trenches, which they have the design sensibilities of, I think, the Europeans. And then, of course, in Japan, you have the large supply chain of not just Japan, but of Asia, of sensors and processors and LCD screens and things like that. Hey, Gordon. And so it's a great place for them to be. And so you might be wondering, well then, Take, why don't you review more Fujifilm cameras? Because I know a lot of you who follow my YouTube channel, I can see the numbers, follow me because, like, a lot of people follow me because of my Fujifilm reviews. Others follow me because of my Leica reviews. Others follow me because of my film photography. Others follow me because of my travel stuff. So I am very all over the place. And if I was like Peltotech and I only did Fujifilm, I know there would be more growth. But I like a lot of different things, including like watches and traveling and film and digital and Fujifilm and Leica. And I try to stick to as few manufacturers as possible and have little sprinklings of Ricoh GR, which I know some of you also love my early GR videos. And then now with Insta360, with the Ace Pro 2. So I mean, I'm not exclusive to Fujifilm or Leica, but people have noticed I review less Fujifilm. And so this is where I have some issues with Fujifilm. One is Fujifilm Canada has made the decision to not send out pre-production cameras before launch. And I think Fujifilm is the only major market in the world that does that. If you look at the US, a lot of people will get the pre-production early, create the content, and at the day of launch, they'll, or usually you hear them say, look, we can't share you samples, or they can't really talk about the image quality or performance because it's pre-production, firmware is not final, hardware is not final. The Fujifilm got rid of that a few years ago because they had issues. At a very specific launch, 2 reviewers in Canada basically started talking about performance, I think autofocus, eye tracking performance, and something else. And Fujifilm Canada were upset, and they basically said nobody gets it other than if they're part of the launch. And so I wholeheartedly disagree with that. I think if you put very strict restrictions on, first of all, who gets the content, so who is known for testing specs from beginning to end, right? But then don't send it to those people because that's kind of, it's a knee-jerk reaction for them. Someone like me cares more about ergonomics, about how the shooting experience is, and then IQ is one of the easiest things to test, right? And so go to DP Review, go to Petapixel, they have the charts and the graphs and stuff like that. I don't care about that. I think a lot of you guys just want to know, Taka, what are your thoughts on this camera? And so no pre-production. So you're wondering, like, when the camera launches, where's Taka's review? Well, I'm not allowed to get them anymore. Number 2 is that if you could see, they're shifting away from old guys like us. Especially in Canada, they're looking for young influencers, and I get it. That's kind of the target market, right? They're looking at old, crusty guys like us and thinking, these guys don't want to buy a new camera every cycle. They're happy with their X Pro 2s. They're happy with their XE3s. We want new customers, and they don't want to see old guys like me talking about the cameras. They want like young, influential, fun, youthful people talking about the gear. And so that's the thing, is I think they need a healthier balance of, like, sure, you're targeting the youth, but you kind of need old, experienced guys like us that have been around long enough that, I think our opinion counts as well, because you can't just cater to the youth. You need to cater to people like us that have been around long enough to know what are trends and what are things about longevity, right? Like cameras like the Leica M, around since 1954. The mount has stayed the same since 1954, so it's the 71st year, I think. 72 years, 1954 since the M3 came out. And so longevity counts. You want to be around in 50 years. You want to be around in 60 years. You want to be around in 100 years. And so I think Fujifilm needs a good balance of different types of people that are reviewing, specifically in Canada. And another one is also in Canada, we go through a marketing company. So I don't deal directly with Fujifilm. So I feel like I don't have a direct connection to Fujifilm anymore. I feel kind of isolated from Fujifilm Canada. So one of the rules I have that I've had from the very beginning is if I don't get the gear directly from the manufacturer, or if I don't already have an established relationship with the manufacturer, I won't review the gear. So when Ricoh and in the past Canon would send me gear, it's because they sent it directly to me. I have friends in the industry. I have friends that own camera stores. I have friends that own most of the gear out there, but it's like, unless they send it to me, I won't review because I want to be able to give my feedback on my experience of using the gear. And so now there's like a barrier between me and Fujifilm in Canada where I have to go through a marketing company, which is fine. I don't mind that, but I feel very disconnected with Fujifilm Canada. Now I love Billy, I love Francis, and whenever they come into town, you guys know, I have dinner with them, I hang out with Francis, he loves shooting as well, so at night I go out shooting, but they are my friends. You know, Francis does not represent Fujifilm when I'm hanging out with them and taking pictures. And so I have friendships at people at Fujifilm. I just interviewed Yuji Igarashi for the cover article for Fuji Love magazine. And so I consider Yuji as a friend as well as a colleague. And so I have connections at Fujifilm, but in Canada, I feel disconnected. And because of that, you know, like I said, this was announced in June of 2025. Fujifilm didn't even ask me if I want to borrow this until December of 2025. And so as someone who reviews, as one of the head writers for Fuji Love magazine, I can't get gear 6 to 8 months after its launch. And I even told Fujifilm, I said, look, they said, do you want to review this? And I said, no, it's too late. It's 6 months later. I'm not even excited to review it, but I said, but what I would do is if you send me the XE5, the XT50, and the XT5, like all three of them, because they all three have the same IBIS mech, the same sensor, and the same processor, I said, that makes for an interesting article for Fujilove as well as a YouTube video. So I said, if you send me those three, I'll review it. If you don't send me those three, then I said, no thank you. I don't care to see the XE5. And I'm not being, maybe I'm being a little bit of a grumpy old man, but mostly it's about making content and you know, moving on, because I have other gear that's coming in, other things I'm interested in making. And so when I get, like, I haven't been sent the X half yet, and there's other stuff. Like, I know it takes me, in the past 3 or 4 years, it takes me, like in the past, you guys know, I'd get it either early, which is always a privilege, and I always appreciate that because not everyone gets it early, or I would get it like a month or two after launch. Now it's taking 6 months, 7 months. Like I said, the X half, how old is that? I don't want to review it. I don't even want, or like, why get it and create content, like a review content? I need to come up with another concept other than a review, or else it's like, I don't want it anymore. And so for those of you who are wondering, like, Take, why aren't you reviewing more Fuji gear? Well, ask Fujifilm Canada. Why aren't they sending it to me earlier? And it kind of takes you guys to not complain, but to kind of say, hey, we'd love to see more mature, more experienced reviewers other than Chris. I love you, Chris and Jordan. But other experienced photographers. You know, I write as well as I create video content, but I have a lot to say about Fujifilm, and mostly positive, but obviously other areas where I think, hey, maybe think about this, maybe think about that. I love to give input to Fujifilm. And so, do I still like Fujifilm? I love Fujifilm. And I've mentioned this many times, and maybe I'll do a separate video of like my studio tour. My main camera in my studio for product photography as well as for overhead video that you often see is my X-T4 with the 16-80, and that's been the case since 2020, since I got it, like in the middle of the pandemic. So for 6 years, the bulk of my YouTube videos are shot on the X-T4. Now, I'm in a cafe here, and I'll put an insert here. I need something small and light and compact, so the Pocket 3 is what I'm using now. But back in my studio and all my serious stuff and all my serious product photography, X-T4, that's my main camera. And I also love my X Pro 3. So I usually say the X Pro 3 and my M10R, those are both my favorite personal cameras that if I travel, if I need autofocus, it's the Ep03, or if I need like lighter, more compact, and also just maybe just a different feel, Ep03. If I want more tactility, I want to manually focus, I'm shooting slower, I'm shooting more like, I wouldn't say fine art, but more artsy kind of for personal projects, then I love shooting with an M. It's more challenging, it's fun. And like Fujifilm, I have a lot of friends at Leica headquarters. In fact, just last summer, I missed the Leica 100 celebrations because I was teaching in Italy, and the marketing team at Leica did an entire mini private tour, like my own private Leica 100 celebration. And so that was awesome. I did a factory tour, the museum tour. I got to sit down with Enric Achdel of the Leica watches and had a little one-on-one meeting with him. It was fantastic. And in the summer, I hung out with Dr. Kaufman in his family office in Austria. So I have friends at Leica. So obviously, if you have friends at a brand, you're gonna want to shoot with their products. But I have friends at Fujifilm as well, as I mentioned. So I love Fujifilm. I want to continue reviewing their products. But if I get gear 6 to 8 months after launch, then there's nothing I can do about it. And so Fujifilm Canada, if you're watching, or anybody else that can help me, the gear that's sent to me, if I like it, I'll review it and I'll create content. If it's not sent to me, there's nothing I can do. And so that's it. That's my confession for this video. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions down below. We'll talk to you soon, and happy shooting. Peace.